Am I big?
You are big.
Good morning, good morning. As you can see, things are a little bit different today as I've had to do a pre-recorded because my Sunday is busy. However, I'm still here and I'm still keeping the conversation alive about SAD. So today I have my gorgeous friend, Ali Morton, who some of you may recognize from some of my posts and things, who I got to do a lovely yoga retreat with earlier this year. We're going to be talking all things SAD, movement, sea dips, and how we overcome this change of season. Ali, would you like to explain a little bit about yourself?
I would love to. Here I am. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. And Kim, thank you for welcoming me on. I was really excited when I started to see your lives all about seasonal affective disorder. I myself get it every year. It kind of tends to start now because in September, I'll have a great time in Mallorca. I've had a great, vibrant summer of doing lots of fun things and everything's high energy. We've had lots of vitamin D. So those are, energy levels and mood is nice and high. And then when I get back, there's that big, oh no, oh no.
Mhm.
And so what I've done for the second year now is I've gone, right, okay, I'm going to do a dip a day in October for charity Surfers Against Sewage. Obviously, aside from what the charity does in terms of helping to try and keep our oceans nice and clean and the marine environment healthy and vibrant, it's also for me about showing up every day. I get down days where I have trouble getting up in the morning. We're seeing a lot less sunlight now when it's darker mornings, less light in the evenings as well. So getting up to make sure I do my dip, besides the benefits physically, which I'll speak about in a second, it's a way of getting me up in the morning, the same way that my husky gets me up in the morning because the dog needs to go for a walk. So I get out into nature. So I just thought I'd talk a little bit with you about seasonal affective disorder, which is what you want me to do. And also I just wanted to just venture into my MS at the same time. So I have multiple sclerosis,
Can you
which,
explain a little bit about that? Because I don't know if everyone's quite clear on what that may be. I've already got a few clients, so it'd be really nice to hear in a nutshell what that is.
yeah, of course. So in a nutshell, it is an autoimmune disease, whereby what happens is our immune system, our healthy white blood cells, attack itself. So it gets into the spinal column, through the myelin sheath, which is this cell blanket. It gets in there and it attacks your nervous system and your, so that could be your spine, different areas of the spine, or in the brain. And where, depending on where it attacks, is where you get your effects.
Okay.
So I've had issues with balance. I actually couldn't walk on one of my relapses. That's what it's called. When you get an attack, it's called a relapse. I've had optic neuritis, which was, I had double vision, so I couldn't see very well, and other things. So every person that has multiple sclerosis will have different effects, but there are similarities too. Now, mentally, you go through kind of a grieving process when you have a relapse because you lose a part of your body or a part of yourself than before. I'm very lucky in the sense that out of the three forms of MS, I have the first one, which is relapsing remitting MS, which if you looked at it on a line diagram, you get attacked, so you take a dive and then you pick back up. You get a dive, you get an attack, you pick back up. So it kind of goes like that. And although I've recovered from my hits, if you like, as I call them, I do still have residual symptoms that come back up, for example, when I'm stressed, when I'm ill. So essentially, normally and most often for me is when my body temperature is very high. And this is why in these darker seasons where we are more susceptible to illness like colds and flus, I have to be very careful.
So how would you say that having MS during the sad season sort of affects your mental well-being? Because obviously it's all connected to your nerves and the cognitive functions. So with with MS as you are, does that affect it? Would you say quite a bit more? Do you see it quite sharply? Have you spoken to other people that also have MS? Is that something that is considerably more difficult for you guys to work with?
For me, obviously, I'm just going from my experiences. Yes. So, fatigue is a big one. So muscular aches, tingling, lacking coordination, cognitive function, which is why this recording might be a little bit jumbled because I have trouble speaking sometimes, concentrating. And also MS, our recommended daily allowance, I can't remember the exact figures, but it's something like 12 to 14 times more a day we need more of than the normal person. So if you think that a normal person feels sad, low in energy, low in mood, depressed, people with MS are much more susceptible and can struggle even more than the average person.
Okay. That's really interesting because I see you getting out and about and being very inspiring and really into your movement side of things. You already touched upon your sea swimming into that. How do you motivate yourself? Obviously, you said you're getting out in nature, but you're going out in the dark, aren't you? In the early mornings, you crazy cat, to go for a swim. What are the benefits of that? Why are you doing that to yourself?
Well, firstly, getting up in the morning, I love to get up and see the sunrise. So I'm excited that it's going to get lighter. On the contrast, going in the evening when it's got darker is not very motivating because I'm like, it's just going to get darker and darker and darker. But in the morning, got light shining in now. It's just going to get lighter. So exposure to the cold, there's lots of scientific facts which you can read up about. Susanna Soberg is a great one. Heather Ashley, a good friend of mine who's a Wim Hof instructor, she has a lot of stuff as well. So feel free to contact and look it up more. From my point of view, just in a nutshell, it increases our endorphins, which is our happy hormone, which is probably the most relevant point for this discussion. You know, I'm yet to meet somebody that's done a sea dip with me and gone, oh, that was horrible. I hated that. It always makes us feel better. Yeah. And, you know, it's also, I also think of it, you need to feel that uncomfortability. You need to feel that cold stress. If you go in the water and you're like, oh, yeah, this is nice, you're not getting that jolt system. And when you get that shock, that jolt, you're putting stress on your body on purpose. Now, what that does is that increases our energy, and it sort of invigorates you. You know, it empowers you to boost that mood. So that's one of the best things, you know, to feel that rush, that tingling. And from an MS point of view, I love the feeling because it's like this electricity going through it just feels like my whole nerves are just like waking up, and it's like a flipping firework display. And I'm like, ooh, it's just, you know, like I know, jealous. Kim, you love to dance it off, don't you? You love to shake it off and dance. And it's that tingling from that shock of that stress. And when you put yourself through a purposeful stress like cold water, it helps us to cope with stress we can't control.
Right. Okay. So into your everyday life instead of it just being in the moment. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. And a lot of the things I do is stuff that I can then practice off the mat or out the sea or out the sauna. You know, it's all these things that we can then incorporate and put together.
Because obviously you love to move. You are a very moving, grooving person. And you were saying off the mat there. So what do you like doing on the mat? Obviously, you are a yoga teacher, and that people need to know that about you for sure. But what have you noticed any sort of changes within the season at all within your class? Obviously, you do lots of sort of more high-paced vinyasas and things like that. You're really into your yin yoga, which I love on the Wednesday evenings. Have you noticed a change, or do you adapt at all, sort of as the seasons change within your class and what you teach?
Definitely. I think that's a word that's really poignant, especially going through these seasons. And if you live seasonally as we're supposed to, we're meant to honour nature and listen to what's going on around us and be in tune with that. For me, it's adapting. So my classes adapt. You know, in the summer, I'm out teaching beach yoga all the time, and it's lots of high powered stuff, African flow, lots
Love.
of moving, yeah, all this lovely rhythmic stuff, which is also good to do in when you're feeling down, like to, you know, dance in your kitchen with your favorite music on. It's good to get that lift with for yourself. But in terms of my what I offer and how that shows through with my students is I have to honor my energy levels. I can't any longer be doing crazy classes all the time. So I strike my balance. So, like you said, I now do yin yoga on a Wednesday night. That's midweek. For me, I'm absolutely knackered on Wednesday evening. So I'm like, well, and I started it in lockdown as well when I was shielding because I couldn't go outside a lot because MS, we have a very low immune system with COVID, etc. I had to be careful. So we show up on a Wednesday night. I'm wearing my pajamas. Wearing my jammies, got all my
All of the
cozy comfort,
equipment. Yeah, all the pillows
all
and
those
everything.
all
And
those
also it's
lush
at
things.
home. It's at home,
And
so we just get to see you on the screen and on the comfort of our own home. We always have tea. That's always like the first option. We sit there with a cup of tea, checking in with each other to start with. It really keeps community alive, I feel, massively during the winter seasons without feeling like you have to go out because by the time that you run it, which is around 8 o'clock, that's dark. That is a
yeah,
dark time already at this time of year. So instead of sort of pushing against the seasons and still going out in the cold in there to go and then lie down and be warm, it all just seems a bit chaotic, whereas yin is very calming and it's very slow. So would you maybe like to mention a little pinch about what yin is and what the difference of yin yoga is compared to maybe vinyasa in case people weren't aware?
yes, I'd love to. So you have your yin and your yang. So your yang practice would be your more vigorous yogas like a vinyasa, for example, which I do teach, but again, I don't teach it very late. It's at 6:15 or 9 a.m. on a Saturday. So I have to honor my time. Evenings are hard for me. And then you've got your yin yoga, which is a restorative passive practice. So I've named mine slow and sleepy yoga
Right.
because you literally, you know it, you know, we literally, it is slow and it is sleepy. And you have the more props, the better. So the more cushions, the more blankets, the more coziness you have to support you lying in postures. And as opposed to a vinyasa class, which wow, we'll do more than 20 poses in a 60-minute vinyasa class. In a yin yoga class, sometimes we might do 6.
Mm.
So you lie in a pose for like minutes and I just speak to you with relaxing music and you just melt and it's like a meditation itself.
I love the
Um,
stillness in yin, and I think that stillness is something that's starting to be reflected in nature because obviously, when all the leaves start falling, that's when we see a lot of stillness happen out there. We just see a lot of bare branches and stuff, and I think yin really lends itself to actually surrendering to the stillness. We love the movement, which we spoke about originally, and that would be the yin side of no, the yang side of things. But the yin
yeah.
side is going to be the much more still. And we've got to get that balance going even throughout the seasons. So, would you say that there's anything that you sort of do for your self care that might be a good tip?
Yes. So I do take supplements because, like I said about vitamin D, so I've got one here, but you can check out my Ali Hello Day page. So this one's called Vitality Balance, and essentially it's got vitamin D3 and it's got magnesium. Magnesium is really good for lifting mood and can help reduce fatigue. And so those products are really good. So I use those every day, and I have to be someone who's quite routine and everything. So I like to keep things as continuous as I can, so I don't have to stress about things changing a lot because in the winter things are harder. So we put these practices in that are consistent for us and just come naturally to us. So by the time it gets to the really horrible months of winter for some of us, it's already there. We know it's there to support us, and we know it benefits us, and we can do that. Nature is a huge one. So going outside in nature for 20 to 30 minutes, especially being around trees. Especially being around trees, you know, just, and that leads into our connection as well, you know, connecting with others. You know, yin yoga, we, like you said, you don't have to go outside and see anyone, but we're connecting. You know, I've started us now to have the option of joining me at 7:45 with your cup of tea to have a chat first. So it's just connecting in with each other, and that's a two-way relationship as well. So not just how do I feel, I need to speak to someone about how I feel, but also like, oh, I haven't heard from that person in a while, I hope they're all right, I might just check in, you know.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, weren't we? People sometimes going quite quiet in the winter times, in the winter months, and I guess in summer it's all because we're always out, we're always being social, we're always at the beach or a party or a retreat. There's always something going on, whereas obviously as that closes down in the winter time, people tend to get quite quiet. So we were talking about checking in on those that are quite quiet, and how important it is to keep conversations and community. You've obviously set up as well on WhatsApp community groups, and it's nothing particularly to do with yoga, but you're offering space for people to share what's still going on and keeping that connectivity up, which is amazing. So was there anything you wanted to say on to that accord?
Yeah, so it's just reaching out, you know. I actually had somebody text me a while ago, this week. Her friend's got the MS, and she said, I'm just ringing you because I don't know what to do. Like, I've heard that you do yoga, you know, you help people with MS, and I don't know how to help her. So she knew that her friend needed some help, but maybe her friend wasn't quite ready yet to have that help. And she was like, what can I do? Right, I'm going to speak to somebody and just see what they think. And I think that was just really, I got quite emotional in a lovely way when she reached out to me for her, on behalf of her friend. And I'm hoping that both of them are going to join me for yin, which I said, you know, you can have the camera off, you can be mute, you know, everyone's muted during the class anyway, and you can just lie there and see how you get on, but at least you're still a part of it. You take what you need out of it, so there's no rush, there's no force. So I think the community thing has come up quite very strongly since I got back from Mallorca, actually, where I've been trying to do more. So my Monday mornings, which used to be my free morning, I'd end up not going out, procrastinating, cleaning the house maybe if I had the energy to. And I was like, oh, I haven't really done anything sensible. So now I teach yoga early in the morning, a bit too early for some, at 6:45 by the beach. I have a sea dip, and then I go to something called So Talk, which is, again, just a nice community gathering where people can talk about how they feel about what's going on, how they feel, not how anyone else is feeling, or, you know, my friend's going through this. That's great, and that's amazing, but sometimes you just need a space to go, do you know what, actually, do you know what, I feel angry at the moment, I feel absolutely fuming, and I don't know what to do with it. And then we can go, great, honor that anger, let's talk about it, and then we're all sharing experiences, and then you don't feel alone.
I was going to say, honouring every emotion is such a thing that keeps getting missed in this modern world. And I don't know if that's because of the magic of social media and wanting everything to be perfect and positive and well. And I touched on the toxic positivity last time in the chat, but I still think it's quite relevant that we don't necessarily always need to be talking about everything that's positive just to mask something or cover something up, because that's really detrimental to us. And if people are living with this mask of positivity, then we're not having that true connection to someone, and then we're really missing out on, I think, what the whole life experience could really be about, which is community and gatherings. So Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely honor all the emotions, everyone, no matter what they are. When you've got people around you that love you, they will love you unconditionally, no matter what mood you're feeling. And that's what I personally have struggled to learn, still learning. Um, but I think it needs to be mentioned that every mood is okay to feel. Um,
Definitely. Definitely.
was
Definitely.
was there a little bit of show that you'd like to show us with your yoga movement so we can just
Yeah.
understand what might be beneficial, so maybe we can sort of aim towards? What was it you wanted to demonstrate for us?
Yes. So a couple of things before I start. Just to note, when we're feeling down, when we're feeling not good in here, and when we are going into those seasons of wanting to close in, we tend to hunch. So you probably noticed during the live, I sit quite upright because I've got the benefit that I'm short. I'm always trying to be taller, so I'm my posture's generally quite good. But what happens is we all sort of close off and we like hide away and shy away. So these poses counteract a lot of sitting as well, where you can get bad backs and shoulders. So I'm just going to turn my camera around and you'll see the rain outside. So I'm just going to turn here. You can see my notes there on my laptop. Sorry about that. Hopefully you'll be able to see. This is where it all goes wrong now on the recording.
No, we're
So
good. Good. We
so
see.
this one is just a downward facing dog. So just a couple of poses. Before we go into downward dog, I always love cat cow. So this is really good as well if you do lots of sitting or hunching, or you're feeling very stagnant and stiff. It's really good to immobilize the spine. And the lovely thing about yoga is that it connects your mind and body together. And then when we take a downward dog, you can have really bent knees as well. I've been talking about that in my class. We've kind of changed up a little bit from being quite sort of, I guess, textbook with how our poses look. We're just being a lot more feel into it and much gentler on the body. So you can see my legs are quite bent, and then you can kind of just move through it. You don't have to be still either. Just have a little move through. Oh, there's my click. And then
What sort of benefits is that going to be giving us mentally by sort of working our body at that angle?
so the downward dog, well, all of these poses, it can really help to ground us and focus down on our
Right.
grounding. Connecting to our body again comes into how we said about honoring how we feel. So it's like, okay, and actually as you move through things, you're getting rid of that stagnancy and that like, even now I'm like, my shoulders are quite stiff because I've taught this morning and I didn't really shake myself out. So this hand is actually stretched out the same as this one. So this one is a warrior two. I love this pose because it helps me to feel quite empowered. It makes me
Because
to
I
feel
feel powerful in that. Yeah.
it makes me feel really powerful. And it also, again, because you're grounding down through the feet, it's helping us to feel grounded and connected to earth. There's other poses that are better for grounding connection. But those two I just wanted to show because, you know, they also stoke our inner fire, giving us that energy. They help with stretching out the muscles, which we can feel much more stiff in. MS, I get that a lot of stiffness. But they're two little poses that I thought everyone could have a go at if they wanted to. What I'd say just to round off as well in terms of a yoga practice or any practice that you want to get into to help you feel part of a community, and boost your stress, boost your mood and lower your stress is to do, you could try three things. Number one, commit to it. So sign up. So sign up to a community class, a salsa class, or I don't know, a yoga class. A lot of my students buy class packs because they kind of are investing in that pack of 5 or 10, but they don't have to use it all straight away. They can use it when they like, you know, and they can get a variety of different types of yoga. Accountability buddy. Is there somebody that you go, do you want to go to that salsa class? It's on Thursday night. Let's go together. Then it's like you're doing it with somebody.
Yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
lovely. And, you know, schedule in your yoga into your timetable.
Absolutely. You have to make time for your self-care, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise everyone else may ask for your time. You'll say yes, maybe potentially a lot at work. This is a big thing for me. We say yes all the time. We don't want to miss out and all that. But as soon as you were saying that your Wednesday yins come back, I make sure that I close off early on that day, ground myself by just having a light supper, and then I'm really ready to come into yin. And it's trying to make sure that I'm making time for that. Otherwise, a whole week goes by and I might not have sat on the mat. I might not have checked in with myself. So I really appreciate that timing. And another one that I particularly like for coming inwards is the child's pose, and that sort of
Mm,
surrender and just really melting down into the mat. I think that's a really nice sensation. It also makes me feel like I'm in my own little cave, and that's when I can really just realize that nothing outside matters for a minute, internal world only. How am I today? And that's something that's really definitely helped me go through it as well. So yeah,
definitely.
thank you for your key points there with the yoga. I will be on my mat again soon when my back's pulled out and been a bit better. Was there any
Good.
other leaving notes you'd like to make before we go? You've covered quite a range, from MS
I
to
have.
SAD to C dips to yoga to being
Sorry.
accountable. No, this is great. That's exactly how it should be. We love this.
Somebody
Um,
gets me started, I don't tend to stop when I'm passionate about something, so I could
say
be
you're
here forever.
passionate.
um,
Bless
yeah, but if there's anything anyone has any questions about, obviously feel free to get in touch with us.
you. Absolutely. I'll share the details all
Yeah,
at them at the end. That would be absolutely great. People can get in touch and see if there's any more questions going on as well. But yeah, thank you very much, Ali, for your time today, coming
you're
on,
welcome. Let me make
sharing
you bigger
knowledge.
again because you're summing up. There you go, you're bigger now.
Thank you. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, sharing your knowledge, and also your story and how you've made it through and what you do to commit. You've also been a really big part of my sad journey, especially from last year when I decided to be honest and say that I do struggle. And we went for a nice beach walk, and my whole year changed from that one beach walk.
It really did, didn't it?
So yeah, that was a really magical time for me, and got introduced to incredible women and other people in that time.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you personally from me for this
You
time
are
of
welcome.
my recovery and getting out of this sad. And yeah, thank you for your time and sharing today.
Thank you. I need to get booked in with for some bamboo body love with you soon. I need some TLC for my body soon. That's another thing for everyone. Treat yourself. You
Absolutely.
matter.
Bless you. Thank you very much, Ali. Have a gorgeous rest of your day.
Thank you. Speak to you later, love.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.